Ah. Gecko Moria, ladies and gentlemen. The single greatest warlord of the seven. The man that will truly become king of the pirates. What's he up to these days? What's old Moria doing? I actually don't know. I mean, the dollars to donuts, I'm going to bet that he's dead. You know, Blackbeard stole the Kage no Mi, gave it to Avalo Pizarro or something, and then resurrected Moria as a zombie to kind of get like a taste of his own medicine. You know, the zombie master has become the zombie. But, you know, what about Moria's humble beginnings, you know? He wasn't always this huge, like, engorged, slothful, you know, lackadaisical human being living out his days on a floating pirate ship in the middle of a foggy sea, luring pirates in only to steal their shadows and send them off, amassing an ever-growing army of the undead. You know, now he started off with actually really standard anime protagonist kind of goals. You know, honestly, if things went a little bit differently, Moria might have been the main character of One Piece, sort of like, I don't know, every single JRPG ever made. Let me set the stage for you, okay? It was a stormy day, or possibly a very balmy summer afternoon at the execution of Goldie Roger. Actually, it was both. There's actually some cases where it's like, you know, inconsistent with that, but no, it was actually both. It was really, really hot on Roger's execution, and as soon as he was about to be executed, as soon as his head got lopped off, or I guess he got stabbed, or whatever the method of execution they used to kill Roger, the skies were rent with clouds, and a mighty storm came out of nowhere, and probably because Dragon was present. But you know who else was there? Was Crocodile and Mihawk and Gecko Moria, sporting a really badass leather jacket. If you take nothing else away from this video, just know it now, Moria knew how to dress like a badass biker back when he was, you know, in his 20s, okay? I don't know what happened to that leather jacket. Maybe Moria, you know, after he was defeated by Kaido, Moria took off that leather jacket, threw it in his hope chest at the end of his bed, and maybe one day he'll open it up and he'll be like, maybe I'll get the gang back together one more time, you know? But, you know, Moria was there as well, and he witnessed the death of Roger, and just like a lot of other pirates that were present there that day, he was inspired, you know, to go to the Grand Line, to go to the New World, and find the One Piece, the greatest treasure ever, and earn his rightful place in history as the king of the pirates, matey. You know, that's what Moria was all about, okay? And so he got a crew together. Moria got a crew together, and he went after the One Piece, and he managed to make it pretty damn far. He made it all the way to the New World, you know? Moria had the Kage no Mi at this point, although he wasn't amassing an army of zombies. They were just regular human pirates, but when we saw him fighting against Kaido, we saw the brick bats around him, which, by the way, I'm an idiot. For the longest time, because all of the warlords have an animal motif, obviously, you know, Crocodile being an alligator, Boa being a lizard of some kind. Obviously, Crocodile's the crocodile, you know, Doflamingo's the flamingo and everything. I just assumed that Gecko Moria was a gecko, but then I realized that, wait a second, Komori means bat in Japanese. Gecko Moria. There it is. Also would explain why he has an attack called Brick Bat and why bats are more indicative of him. So, point is that when we finally do get to see the Seraphim version of Moria, it's probably going to be S-Bat rather than S-Gecko. Although he does have an ability with his Kage no Mi that does resemble a gecko. So, Oda's kind of taking advantage of two different kind of levels of puns here. You know, Oda's on the next pun stratum, as it were. Anyway, he had the power of the Kage no Mi, but he didn't use it to make zombies. I actually have an interesting theory regarding that. What if Moria did not use the Kage no Mi to make zombies to fight for him? What if he took the shadows of other people and threw them into his own crew, and him as well, to give a buff to their base stats to fight better? Okay, you know how like Luffy got his hands on the shadows at Thriller Bark that the Victims Association got their hands on, and they poured 100 shadows into Luffy, and then boom, you get Nightmare Luffy. And then later on, we literally see Moria's sloth taking a extraordinarily literal, overt meaning when he uses his Shadow Asgard, and he, you know, balloons up, just like engorging himself on 1,000 shadows, resulting in this hulking, huge behemoth, okay? So, yeah, but what if back in the day, that's how he used it? You know, he would, like, fight against a really strong pirate crew and then rip out all of their shadows and then give them to the crew. So, let's say they fight a really powerful swordsman. He rips out their shadow, gives it to the best swordsman on his crew, and they become even a better swordsman, right? So, he really kind of was playing a JRPG, now that I'm kind of thinking about it. Like, after they defeat really strong Marines or pirates, his crew levels up. He's got, like, the EXP share, you know, there you go. And if he gets a really cool power, he keeps it for himself, okay? Moria did fight with a sword back then. We kind of see this in the present. He fights with those giant pair of scissors that he can separate and kind of uses. So he has a little bit of talent with that. Although you really have to question whether or not Moria's talent is his own, because he does have the Kage no Mi. He could easily take a swordsman's shadow, throw it inside of himself, and I don't know, because he's the owner of the Devil Fruit, he has the power of the Kage no Mi. The shadows have to obey him. You know, maybe it's like not as easy to get the shadows out of him. They basically had to knock him out and then pump his stomach using the giant pillar to get him to like throw up all of the shadows. But that was really Moria literally and figuratively taking on more than he could eat at that one point where he consumed 1,000 shadows. That was a little bit too much even for him. But you know what? The story of Moria is actually quite sad when you think about it, really. It's actually very, it parallels Crocodiles in a big way. They were both present at Roger's execution 24 years ago. Then they immediately decided to go out to sea as pirates, and they initially failed with that excursion, okay? Crocodile failed because he ran into Whitebeard, and Moria failed because he ran into Kaido, both that were Yonko at the time. And however, Crocodile decided, like, okay, I'm going to try this again, but I'm going to go about it from a different angle, and they both became warlords. So there's another thing, too. But Crocodile decided to build up Baroque works for another kind of crack at conquering the Grand Line and finding Pluton and all that. Moria really sank into a pit of depression and malaise, you know, melancholy, as it were, where Moria lost his entire crew to the Beast Pirates. Kaido slaughtered all of them, and we see that a little bit during the backstory with Odin, while Odin was doing his funny dance numbers in the Flower Capital 23 years before the start of the story. So only about 1 year into the excursion into the Grand Line, like 1 year after Roger was executed, Moria managed to make it all the way to Wano, and he was charging at Kaido and the Beast Pirates like, "Men, kishi, let's defeat this man and become the next Yonko." You know, he was on a roll, dude, and he was inspired. You could see the fire in Moria's eyes back then, you know? He was really just like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna become king of the pirates. You know what it actually reminds me of? You know how Oda does those SBS questions where he depicts the Straw Hats in the future, and he shows 4 images. 2 if the universe works out, and 2 if the universe doesn't. Like, if things don't work out too well for Luffy, he's gonna turn out like this. You know what I mean? That's kind of what happened with Moria, where in another universe, let's say where Moria defeated Kaido and became a Yonko well back then, he didn't fall into that, like, stupor of laziness and listlessness, you know? He didn't set up Thriller Bark. He didn't just engorge himself on shadows and make a bunch of zombies to do his work and wash his boots every day or whatever. No, he was a proper Yonko. Maybe he would have stayed based in Wano. Maybe he would have set up his base of operations somewhere else. But had Moria defeated Kaido, here we are 23 years later, Kaido might have not have been in the picture anymore, and Moria might have been the one that everybody has to worry about. The 4 Yonko, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, the strongest man in the world, Charlotte Linlin, Big Mom, the ruler of Totoland. Then we have Shanks, red-haired Shanks, the man with the scar and the expert swordsman. And finally, the last of the Yonko, Gecko Moria! Except it's a different kind of Moria. He's completely shredded. You know, he's still got the leather jacket. You know, his entire crew has they've just been going kind of like Blackbeard before Blackbeard, going around the seas instead of stealing really powerful devil fruits, stealing really powerful shadows to make themselves even stronger and stronger. And Kaido is like not, well, and Moria's like really hitting the gym and getting stronger with his sword skills, and he's still just like, I'm gonna do it. He maybe has his hands on some of the road poneglyphs. He might be really close to finding the One Piece. But sadly, that's not how the world went. And just like how in those what-if scenarios that Oda depicts Luffy, I could kind of see this is in the bad universe with Moria. He was defeated by Kaido. His entire crew was killed and massacred at Wano by Kaido. Now, Moria did manage to not get away without any sort of treasure or reward. They did manage to steal the corpse of Ryuma from the grave, as well as Shusui, the prize sword of the sword god himself, from the land of Ringo. So they had something to take back and make it work, Hogback and everything. Moria started slowly building up the Thriller Bark pirates after that, recruiting Perona and Absalom, and working at the operation we see at Thriller Bark. But Moria himself is just an absolute wreck after this. And we see this during Thriller Bark when, they bring up the New World and Moria just snaps. Look at that expression on his face. That is a man that has been, tossing that memory in his subconscious, burying it down for literally decades. And then when it gets brought up, the New World, the Yonko, Kaido, he just snaps. Yes, the New World! You can't hope to survive there. You'll go there, all pie in the sky dreams, everything in the palm of your hands. Oh, you're young, and you think you're gonna be the king of the pirates, and you're getting stronger and stronger with your crew, and you're all family, and isn't that just so much fun? And then you fight against somebody, and then they massacre every single one of your friends. This version of reality that Oda depicted for Luffy, this is pretty much what would have happened if the Straw Hats all got killed. Imagine what would have happened if all the Straw Hats died at Sabaody, or they all died at Dressrosa, or Wano, or something. Luffy would probably be extraordinarily dejected. He wouldn't want to be king of the pirates anymore. And while Moria didn't completely give up on his dream, he completely shifted his approach on reaching it. It was no longer, I'm going to become king of the pirates, I'm going to charge headlong, I'm going to be a captain of a crew. I'm just going to make zombies, because zombies, they can't feel pain. They're completely subservient. They're my puppets. Let them do all the heavy lifting for me. Let someone else make me king of the pirates. That was essentially his motto by the time that we met him. This giant, just fat, swollen man sleeping until midnight. Just let someone else when's somebody else gonna make me king of the pirates? Come on now. Kishi. And honestly speaking, I mean, yeah, Moria's operation was pretty powerful at the time. I mean, he amassed over 1,000 zombies, and Absalom and Hogback and Perona working together were an impressive fighting force, and they had oars and, all that kind of jazz. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that Moria would have lasted all that long in the New World, and I don't think he was even expecting to go to the New World. I think it was a situation where he kept just telling himself that, yeah, one of these days, I'm going to, go back to the New World, and I'm going to challenge the Yonko again. I'm going to challenge Kaido again, but this time I'm going to win, and he starts building up the zombies. But after a while, he just becomes awash in his own abject complacence. He's just sitting around all day, and he's like, maybe today we'll go conquer the New World. Nah. We'll wait until next year when I have more zombies. And then a year goes by, and they have more zombies. And it's like, what about now, Moria? And is like, nah, I'm too tired. I'll do it later. And I don't think he was ever really going to go back and conquer the New World again, because he just, was very traumatized by that battle with Kaido. Ironically enough, it was his defeat at Thriller Bark by the Straw Hats that kind of inspired him to get moving again. Shortly after Thriller Bark, he was summoned to Marineford, and he was like, okay, I'm going to go fight in Marineford. And he was defeated pretty handily there by Jinbei. And then Doflamingo almost kills him. Absalom saves him with his clear powers. They managed to get away. And so Absalom becomes a traveling journalist and stuff. We don't really know what's up with Hogback. Perona went to go live with Mihawk, and so that whole situation. Although Perona did leave Mihawk's island to go look for Moria now that she knows he's alive. So, that's a situation there. But yeah, it was that actually got Moria moving again. He was just, I think, more pissed than anything. He got out of his depression by just his rage. It's just like, how dare the government turn on me? That damn Doflamingo, those damn Straw Hats, that damn Jinbei? I'm gonna show him what's for. I'm Gecko Moria. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I got zombies. And, you know, the ironic thing is, once again, you know, Moria has one of the strongest devil fruits, really, if used in a effective way, you know? If he just wasn't, like, laying on that island all the time, just amassing more and more calories and zombies, if he was a little bit more pragmatic about this, I mean, he could have a really, really interesting fighting force, okay? I also find it just, I don't want to undermine just how much Moria really cared about his original crew. We don't really know anything about them other than just, like, what they looked like in the background here. They just seemed like regular, you know, just riff-raff pirates. But no, the implication is Moria really cared about them. He cared about his crew, and when they died, that really wrecked him, left him psychological scars for the rest of his life. He was probably the only survivor of that entire battle. He made it off with the corpse of Ryuma and a sword, and that's all he had to go on, right? And so, yeah, he left after that and recruited Hogback to start making the marionettes and everything. Maybe he was already allied with Hogback, although I don't think he was, because I think Hogback was already a well-known doctor at the time. He was a very well-known doctor while Moria was going out about, you know, conquering the New World, being a pirate. So I don't think it was until after the whole incident with Kaido there. But let's see here. Yeah. It's a pretty good ability when you think about it, you know, to being able to steal really strong shadows and put them in people. The major downside with the Kage no Mi, and this is a downside that actually Oda has sort of had to skirt around, sometimes not so effectively in the story. So the idea is, if you steal a shadow of a really strong person and you either put that into a zombie or maybe you add that to somebody else or yourself or whatever, when you do that, if the person that had their shadow stolen gets hit by sunlight, they will then die. And if the original owner of the shadow dies, then the shadow goes along with them, even if it's in somebody else. Okay, so that's kind of the problem. I mean, Oda set the rule up like that. He kind of, I think, wrote himself into a little bit of a corner, though, because the way that this works now is that when Moria captures somebody at Thriller Bark, he just basically throws them on a ship after stealing their shadow and sends them out to sea. However, if they end up, you know, in the sun, they're dead. So what does he do? Does he, like, because they go unconscious after he removes their shadow for a little while. So does Moria just, like, tape a note to them and then send them out to sea, and then they wake up and they read the note and just like, Kishi, your shadow has been stolen. Avoid direct sunlight or you will explode. And it's like, wait, what? You know, just like, okay, I guess. I just feel like sending a lot of people out to sea after getting their shadows stolen, I'm feeling like a lot of them would have died just by accident, you know? The problem with that, a few times we see in the story, is like at Marineford, where Moria is like, yes, I'm on a battlefield right now. I'm on Marineford. All of these marine corpses are lying around, or there's corpses ready for the zombies to take. So Moria rips out the shadows of still alive Marines and pirates around him, throws them into the dead bodies on the battlefield, which resurrects them to fight, but he just ripped out the shadows of people, like, in broad daylight, like Marineford was during the day. I mean, I guess you could say it was just cloudy all day, and I guess that's the solution. I mean, at the end of the day, I think in the anime, it was kind of cloudy sometimes, and other times it was sunny, but in the manga, I guess you could just say that it was canonically cloudy. And then, once again, when they arrive at, well, that might have been a situation a little bit different on Hachinosu. He might have ripped out the shadows, because he's the shadow master. He has all of them, okay? So he can kind of keep them inside of him or whatever. He can kind of use them whenever he needs to. So, you know, he could have kept some shadows that he had on him from other people in other locations, and then take them out, and then add them to the zombies that attacked Blackbeard's island, right? So, something like that. It's just a little difficult, because if the original owner hits sunlight, you can't use that shadow anymore. So you got to be a little bit careful about that. Let's see here. Yeah, but that's pretty much everything I really wanted to discuss about this. Let's see here. Like, during that battle, when Moria fought against Kaido, there was an interesting note afterwards where Kaido was talking to Odin, and he said that, you know, if you guys would have attacked me right around then, this outcome might have been very different if Odin and the Scabbards would have attacked right after Moria's crew had invaded, because Moria's crew, I mean, Kaido won and he wiped them all out, but apparently it was not a very decisive battle. It wasn't like Kaido walks in and just defeats Moria. In fact, look at Kaido in this battle, fired up and ready to go. The Gecko Pirates, which is what they were referred to back then, had some pretty notable credentials behind them. Like, they were, like, a notable pirate crew. Like, maybe not, like, Yonko level, but, like, they were the supernovas of their day, certainly. And so, after the battle, though, Kaido's crew had definitely lost some numbers. They were certainly weakened. And if Odin would have decided to attack then, Odin and the Scabbards might have won, and then all of Wano's history would have changed. But Odin waited because he wanted to make sure the people of, Orochi would keep his word, which of course he didn't because he's Orochi. But he waited another 3 years until Kaido could have his forces built up. The mansion was complete, and, he had his more manpower now. And by the time Odin finally attacked him in the Udon region, it was a little bit too little too late, so to speak. But unfortunately, that's just how the breaks go sometimes. You just run headlong into a giant dragon, and then you get your ass kicked because some witch lady turned into an image of your son, distracting you to get beaten down and locked in a cell and then thrown into a vat of boiling oil. Just how it goes sometimes. And then Moria, after that defeat, slunk back to, I guess, the West Blue, where he found Thriller Bark and then converted it into a pirate ship and then brought it into the Grand Line and then dropped anchor in the middle of a foggy ocean surrounded by giant Lovecraftian evil beings from Relaya. And then he set up his operation to steal a bunch of pirate ships and their shadows in tow. And, yeah, that's basically the story. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about Moria. Where is he at right now? Are we going to see his Seraphim? Would they have access to the Kage no Mi? I mean, hey, he was a warlord. I mean, if they have access to Boa's Devil Fruit, and if they had access to, wait, hold on a second. What was the other, did we see another warlord Devil Fruit? No, Jinbei had the Swim Fruit, which was from Senor Pink and Impel Down. We don't know if Hawk has one yet. S-Bear, he has the Paw Fruit, but, Vegapunk was messing with, Kuma's DNA for a very long time. So I would assume, though, they probably have the Kage no Mi, and it would be pretty damn impressive to use that fruit, especially in a Seraphim, because imagine the Seraphim rips out 1,000 shadows and uses Shadows Asgard. I mean, Lunarian DNA, Moria DNA, badass Moria, too, not big, giant, middle-aged, depressed Moria, like, ripped leather jacket biker Moria with a sword. I mean, S-Bat might be very, very devastatingly powerful, so I guess we'll just have to wait on that. But anyway, that's the video. Thanks, you guys, for watching. Before I go, I have another installment of Animal Facts today. I'm finally getting around to this. Are you guys ready for the epic installment of Animal Facts? Letter Q. That's right. Quail Facts. Quail Facts. Okay, so quails are a genus of bird. It's the first bird that we're really discussing on Animal Facts. There's a wide variety of both Old World quails and New World quails, just like we were talking about Old World apes and New World apes, or New World simians or monkeys. I can't remember which. But we have the scaled quail, which looks like a bird that has scales because just the way its feathers lay look pretty cool. We have the singing quail, which has a very beautiful voice that I hear. We have the king quail, which has just a really regal kind of name. And because the way that they're bred for food, for actual their meat or eggs or just for hunting sport, like raising a bunch of quail to throw them in like game lands to go and be shot by, hunters and everything like that. They're bred quite often, so they're actually least concern right now for most quail species. But yeah, that's just the introductory to quails. I'll be honest with you, I've been reading up a lot about them, and they're really not super interesting. So if anybody has any crazy quail facts, let me know. But I don't think this is going to be a very long, installment. So start thinking a lot about the letter R. Wait, Q, R. Yeah, R is next. Actually, no, I already know what the letter R is going to be. The R is going to be Rhino. I already have a plushie for it over here. Actually, where did I put my Rhino plushie? I don't know. I have a Rhino plushie. It's somewhere around here. We're going to do Rhino facts for letter R. And I'm really, okay, here's something you can help me with. I'm really debating between snake facts or spider facts. I really want to do both, okay? But that's not how Animal Facts works. There can only be one. So I might just do a poll. We'll do quail facts. That'll be probably like 3 episodes. Then we'll do rhino facts. That'll last a little while. Rhinos are really cool. And then we'll do a poll to see spiders or snakes. But let me know on your preliminary preference on that poll. The preliminary preference on that poll. Let me know. Doing a lot of alliteration in this video. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Tekking signing out. I now take my leave.